is actually insane right now. Chapter 1, the technology that's about to change the football games forever. EA Sports just revealed something that is genuinely going to flip the entire football gaming world on its head. And no, I'm not being dramatic. I'm not hyping this up for clicks. This is actually one of the most significant technological announcements in sports gaming history, and most people completely missed it because EA didn't exactly blast it across their social media channels. You had to be paying attention to the right corners of the football gaming community to even know this happened. So let's break it all down because there is a lot to cover here, and honestly, once you understand the full picture, you're going to look at football games completely differently going forward. It starts with a company called TreyCap. EA Sports acquired TreyCap not too long ago, and at the time a lot of people didn't fully understand why or what it meant for their games. TreyCap is a tracking system, and when I say tracking system, I don't mean your basic GPS nonsense. This thing tracks player movement, ball trajectory, and body positioning on the pitch with an insane level of precision. The whole point of acquiring this technology was to move away from the old way of doing things, which I'll get into shortly, and push football games into a level of realism we genuinely haven't seen before. The thing is, this technology was simply not ready in time for FC 26, so fans didn't get to see any of it in that game. But this week, at the Sports Innovation 2026 conference held in Germany, EA Sports pulled back the curtain and showed the world exactly what they have been building. And what they revealed is called Project Assist. Chapter 2. What Project Assist actually is and why it's kind of stupid impressive. Project Assist is the name EA has given to this next step built on top of the TreyCap Foundation. And the way it works is honestly kind of stupid impressive when you sit down and think about it properly. Here's the basic concept. Around any given football stadium, EA sets up 12 synchronized 4K cameras. 12 cameras, all running simultaneously, all feeding data into a system in real time. Those cameras are not just recording video the way a regular broadcast would. They are collecting hundreds of millions of data points per match. Every single player on the pitch is being tracked. The ball is being tracked. Even the individual body joints of each player are being tracked, meaning the angle of a knee, the rotation of a shoulder, the exact arc of a foot during a strike on goal. All of that data gets fed into EA's Frostbite game engine, and what comes out the other side is a fully animated, three-dimensional recreation of the match happening in real time, not a video, not a replay, an actual animated digital version of the football match, rendered inside a game engine. What this means for broadcasters right now is that they can view plays from angles that a traditional camera setup could never give you. Want to see a goal from the striker's exact point of view? Done. Want a tactical overhead camera showing the full shape of both teams during a counter-attack? Easy. Want a full three-dimensional recreation of how a goal was scored, viewable from any angle you choose? Project Assist can do that. And look, if you're watching the broadcast side of this and thinking, okay, cool, that's neat for TV, I guess, you're missing the bigger picture. Because the reason any of this matters is what it means for the actual video games. Chapter 3. How the Bundesliga became EA's testing ground. Before we get into what this means for FC 27, let's talk about how this is actually being used in the real world right now, because it's already happening and most people have no idea. The German Bundesliga, through the Deutsche Football Liga, has been running the TreyCap three-dimensional tracking system across all of their matches since the start of the 2025-26 season. Every single Bundesliga stadium, every single match, hundreds of millions of data points being collected every week across one of the top football leagues on the planet. This is why the announcement happened in Germany. This is why the Sports Innovation 2026 conference was the venue for this reveal. The Bundesliga has essentially been EA's live testing ground for this technology, and the results have been convincing enough that EA is now talking about expanding it to other leagues. And here's where it gets genuinely exciting, because you can already see the output of what this system produces is using the collected three-dimensional data from TreyCap, and it looks fucking real, like uncomfortably real, like your brain is trying to decide if it's watching a video game or actual footage. There's also comparison footage. The delay is minimal. The accuracy is honestly a little unsettling. Everything that happens on the pitch shows up in the digital recreation almost immediately. And this is the early version. This technology is only going to get faster and more accurate from here. Chapter 4, what this means for FC 27 and every football game after it. Okay, so here's where we start talking about the part that every football gaming fan actually cares about. What does all of this mean for FC 27? Let's think about how player animations have worked in football games up to this point. When you see a player do something specific in a football game, whether it's a unique shooting style, a specific dribbling movement, or a distinctive running style, that animation came from somewhere. Traditionally, it came from motion capture sessions. Real people wearing motion capture suits in a studio performing different movements, and that data getting turned into animations that eventually end up in the game. EA pushed this further with Hypermotion, which used machine learning to generate a much larger pool of animations from motion capture data. But here's the thing about Hypermotion. The people wearing those motion capture suits were not necessarily professional footballers playing in an actual competitive match. The movements were good, but they weren't capturing the exact, specific, completely natural way that real TraCap changes that entirely. With this system, if Erling Haaland scores some absolutely ridiculous goal with a technique nobody has ever seen before, that exact movement captured in perfect three-dimensional detail can theoretically be pulled from the match data and added into the game within days. Not months, days. And I'm not talking about a rough approximation of what he did. I'm talking about the exact biomechanical motion of his body during that specific moment, rebuilt inside a game engine. Think about what that means for player individuality in the game. Right now, certain players have specific animations that make them feel different. You can tell a few players apart by their running style or their shooting technique. But with TraCap technology, every single professional player tracked by the system would have animations derived from their actual real-life movement patterns. Messi dribbles differently than anyone else on earth. Haaland runs in a way that is genuinely distinctive. These are not things you need to approximate or guess at anymore. The data is right there. The cameras are watching. The system is capturing it. We're talking about a football game where every player actually moves like themselves. Not like a generic version of themselves, actually like themselves. Chapter 5, Frostbite, Hypermotion, and where TraCap fits in. I know some of you are probably wondering how all of these different systems relate to each other because EA has thrown a lot of technical terminology at fans over the years and it can get confusing. So let me break it down as simply as possible. Frostbite is the game engine, it's the foundation everything is built on. Graphics, physics, lighting, how the ball moves through the air, how rain interacts with the pitch, all of that is Frostbite. It's the house that everything else lives inside. Hypermotion is the animation system. It's how EA captures movement and turns it into the actual animations you see players performing in the game. The idea behind Hypermotion was to use real football movements recorded with motion capture suits, then use machine learning to multiply and diversify those animations into a much larger library. It was a genuine step forward. But here's the noob explanation of why TraCap is different. Hypermotion captures people in a studio wearing suits. TraCap captures actual professional matches using real cameras in real stadiums during real competitive games. One is a controlled recreation of football movement. The other is football movement itself. They're not replacing each other. Frostbite is still the engine. Hypermotion's machine learning approach is still valuable, but TraCap is now feeding real match data into the pipeline, which means the quality of the raw material going in is at a completely different level. EA has been pretty clear that full integration of this technology is a long-term project. It would be unrealistic to expect FC 27 to have every single element of this system fully built in and running at maximum capacity. But what we can reasonably expect to see in FC 27 is a significant jump in animation quality and player movement authenticity based on real match data from the Bundesliga season, because that data has already been collected. It already exists. EA already has access to it. Chapter 6, AI commentary. open world mode, and the full picture of FC27. While we are talking about confirmed features for the next game, let's run through everything that appears to be locked in at this point. First, comp mode is returning. EA has a licensing agreement with the Liga that allows all of the relevant stadiums to be included in the game, so that's confirmed and locked in. Second, tray cap technology integration. Given everything announced at the Sports Innovation 2026 conference and the fact that there's already a screenshot circulating from the conference showing what appears to be the in-game replay function with tray cap branding in the corner, it looks very likely we're going to see this technology featured in FC27 in some capacity. Third, an open world mode is coming. EA has confirmed this, and it's a significant departure from anything they've done before in the franchise. And fourth, and this one is going to be divisive, the commentary is going fully AI generated. EA has partnered with Guy Mo, who is one of the more recognizable voices in their English language commentary team, and they've made a deal to use generative AI to reproduce his voice and massively expand the amount of dialogue available in the game. EA's official position on this is that it's always a collaboration with their talent rather than a replacement. Whether you believe that framing or not is up to you, but this is the direction gaming commentary is heading, and I don't think anyone should be particularly shocked by it at this point. The technology to do this convincingly exists. The economics of doing it this way are favorable for the companies involved, and the end result for players is theoretically more varied and responsive commentary than was ever possible before. The timing of all of this is worth mentioning too. GTA 6 is coming out around the same window as FC27, and that is the kind of release that genuinely makes every gaming company nervous. GTA 6 is going to pull players away from everything else temporarily. If EA wants to hold on to their audience through that period, they need FC27 to feel genuinely new and genuinely exciting, not just an incremental update. Open world mode, tray cap technology, AI commentary. These are all moves that suggest EA understands the challenge they're facing and is trying to meet it properly. Chapter 7, the bigger picture and why this actually matters. Issue. Step back for a second and look at the full scope of what's happening here. EA Sports built their football games for years on a foundation that, if we're being honest, relied on some pretty significant shortcuts. Motion capture with non-professional players, generic running animations applied to everyone, players differentiated by stats and ratings more than by actual physical movement characteristics. The gap between what real football looks like and what the game looked like was always there if you knew what you were looking for. Project Assist and Tray Cap are an attempt to close that gap permanently, not by working harder at the old methods, but by bypassing them entirely and going directly to the source. Real matches, real data, real player movement, captured at a level of detail that wasn't technologically possible even 5 years ago. 12 synchronized 4K cameras collecting hundreds of millions of data points per match, feeding into a game engine that can reconstruct the entire thing in near real time. And this is just the beginning. The system will get faster. The cameras will get better. More leagues will be added. More players will be tracked. More match data will be collected. The end point of all of this, if you follow the trajectory far enough, is a football game where the animations aren't designed by artists or captured in studios at all. They're just pulled directly from real life, where every player moves exactly like themselves because the system has watched them move in hundreds of real matches and knows their patterns better than any animator could. That's not FC27. That might not even be FC28. But the foundation is being laid right now. And what was announced this week in Germany is the clearest signal yet that EA is serious about getting there. If you liked watching this, drop a like and make sure you're subscribed, because FC27 news is only going to get bigger from here. And you do not want to be the one person in your friend group who has no idea what's coming.